You are the first creators to have a product line in Walmart, which has now sold over $1 billion. You're the first creator to have your own Macy's Thanksgiving Day balloon, and you're the first creator to have an Emmy-nominated show, Ryan's Mystery Playdate. I feel like you guys have dominated YouTube, but the kid side of things doesn't often get the same credit.
Right.
When one toy empire crumbled and another dropped a major lawsuit, these are the shocking turns that led to the end of Ryan's World. Let's dive into the complete saga of how it all came crashing down. Ryan's World, once a simple YouTube channel featuring a young boy reviewing toys, rapidly transformed into a global sensation, captivating millions of viewers worldwide. What started as a modest toy review series quickly morphed into a powerhouse brand, creating a legacy that few could have predicted. The charm of Ryan's World wasn't just in the toys themselves, but in the relatable personality of Ryan, a boy whose enthusiasm for his toys captured the hearts of both children and parents alike. By 2017, Ryan's World became a phenomenon, taking over YouTube's kids category and attracting record-breaking views. Ryan's engaging, energetic reviews appealed to families looking for honest opinions about the latest toys on the market. This simple concept resonated on an unprecedented level. What set Ryan apart was not just his age. He was barely more than a toddler when he started, but his authenticity, which endeared him to audiences far and wide. As Ryan's World grew in popularity, so did his brand, extending far beyond YouTube. Ryan's family capitalized on this success by launching an entire merchandise line, ranging from toys to clothing, bedding, and even school supplies. Partnerships with major brands followed quickly, including collaborations with Nickelodeon and Amazon. Ryan's World became a household name, synonymous with childhood entertainment. The brand's expansion into the world of television and streaming solidified its place in the spotlight. Ryan's World wasn't just a YouTube channel, it was a media empire in the making. The show, Ryan's Mystery Playdate, premiered on Nickelodeon, giving Ryan even more visibility. The rise of Ryan's World seemed unstoppable, but as the brand gained momentum, it also began to face challenges that no one could have predicted. Challenges that would test not just Ryan's brand, but the entire structure of his family's media empire. But before we dive into that, let's explore the dramatic legal drama that threatened to tear apart Ryan's World at the height of its fame. As Ryan's World reached new heights, the legal battles began to unfold, throwing a dark shadow over what seemed like an unstoppable rise. It wasn't long before a lawsuit involving Ryan's parents, their partners, and toy companies would take center stage. The lawsuit claimed that the brands Ryan's family worked with were mismanaging the profits, raising serious concerns about who truly controlled the rights to Ryan's World.
How big is the team that runs this? And take me through like how you're able to maintain this. Then we'll rewind back to talk about how this all happened.
Yeah, for the production side, we own the studio in Houston. It's called Sunlight Entertainment, and we have full-time employee, about 30 to 40 employees, and it breaks down to video editors, producers, animators, voice actors, on-camera talent, script writers. They're all producing contents for YouTube, and some of the stuff is outside YouTube. Yeah, our company is mainly working on the production side of the content, and then we partner with Pocket Watch to produce Ryan's World toy products, and TV series also we partner with Pocket Watch to produce TV as well.
At the heart of the lawsuit was a question that echoed through the entire world of children's media. Who really owns the brand? Ryan's parents, who managed the day-to-day operations of the brand, found themselves in a bitter dispute over ownership and control of the lucrative merchandising deals, including the toy lines and TV shows. The dispute put a spotlight on the complexities of managing a child star's empire, especially one that had exploded into something much bigger than anyone expected. As millions of dollars were on the line, the legal struggle became a media spectacle, with both sides accusing each other of exploiting the brand and failing to live up to contractual agreements. The impact of the lawsuit on Ryan's World was massive. As the case dragged on, public perception shifted. What was once seen as a heartwarming story of a young boy and his family making it big suddenly became a cautionary tale of greed, mismanagement, and legal entanglements. The brand, which had once been a symbol of wholesome family entertainment, was now associated with corporate infighting and drama. Not only did this lawsuit threaten to derail the brand's future, but it also raised serious questions about the ethics of child stars and the commercialization of their image. Could a child as young as Ryan really understand the financial and legal complexities of the empire his family had built? What would this mean for his future? And perhaps more importantly, how would this lawsuit affect the millions of children who followed Ryan's every move? Despite the uncertainty, the lawsuit eventually settled, with both parties agreeing to terms that would allow the Ryan's World brand to continue. However, the damage had been done. The scandal left a stain on Ryan's World's reputation, and the public's trust in the family behind the brand would never be quite the same. But just as the legal drama seemed to settle down, another shift began, one that took Ryan's World in a direction that not everyone was ready for. As Ryan's World moved through its legal battles, another challenge loomed: the need to evolve. What started as a simple, charming toy review channel was now an established brand with far-reaching influence. But as the brand grew, the content began to shift. Ryan's family started to experiment with different types of videos and media, moving away from the familiar toy reviews that had catapulted them into stardom. The problem: the audience didn't seem to know what to make of the changes. Parents and kids alike had initially tuned in for the simple, fun reviews of toys they could buy. But as Ryan's World began introducing new formats, vlogs, challenges, educational content, and even scripted skits, something changed. The focus of the channel seemed to stray further from the toy-centric world that had first captured the hearts of millions. Fans who were drawn to the toy reviews were now faced with a confusing mix of content that didn't always resonate with them. Ryan's family, perhaps seeking to expand the brand and keep it fresh, had no clear vision of how to transition from toys to a broader media empire. The shift left many viewers puzzled, especially as Ryan's World had been built on a foundation of simplicity. Instead of staying true to what worked, the brand tried to be everything to everyone, but in doing so, lost its core identity. Kids who had once adored the toy unboxing and reviews no longer felt the same connection as the content shifted. This brand confusion became more apparent as Ryan's World ventured into new business ventures like merchandise, TV specials, and even live shows, all while the YouTube channel's content grew more erratic. The channel lacked a clear direction, and fans began to question if Ryan's family was more focused on brand expansion than delivering content that truly resonated with their young audience. As the content became scattered and less focused, the charm of Ryan's World began to fade. What was once an organic, genuine connection with fans had now been overshadowed by a growing sense of commercialism, and with that, the brand's once steadfast audience began to dwindle. But that wasn't the only issue Ryan's World faced. Viewership began to drop off in a big way, and it wasn't long before the brand started to feel the pressure of a new wave of competition. As Ryan's World's content became more erratic and less focused, the inevitable happened. Viewership started to decline. The channel that had once enjoyed massive success, drawing millions of views per video, now found itself struggling to maintain the same level of engagement. What had once been a go-to destination for kids to watch Ryan's toy reviews had now become a platform filled with content that lacked a clear identity or consistent appeal. While Ryan's World had been one of the dominant channels in the kid-centric YouTube space, the landscape was changing. The explosion of new channels, content creators, and even the rise of other brands targeting the same demographic started to chip away at Ryan's once unshakable reign. Kids had more options than ever, and many of them were more than happy to explore these fresh alternatives, leaving Ryan's World in the dust. The decline was particularly evident when comparing Ryan's World to other top-tier kids content creators. Channels like Blippi, who had a more consistent content strategy and a clear brand identity, quickly began to capture the attention of Ryan's former audience.
The reason why we streamlined the work on the production was because we wanted to minimize Ryan's participation on camera. So we introduced animated characters who could take over some of the camera participation. We minimized Ryan's filming time each week to 30 minutes to 1 hour.
Oh, wow.
While we're producing that amount of the content.
As the competition grew, Ryan's World began to feel like a relic of a previous era, and despite the family's best efforts to diversify their content, they couldn't recreate the magic that had originally drawn millions of viewers to the channel. The drop in viewership wasn't just about competition, it was also about the changing tastes of the audience. As kids grew older, they began to move away from the simpler, toy-centric content and gravitated toward creators who offered something with more depth or a different type of entertainment altogether. Ryan's World was still predominantly appealing to a younger audience, but as time went on, even the youngest viewers started to outgrow the brand's offerings. With this dip in views, the once booming empire of Ryan's World was no longer the cultural force it had been. In the following chapter, we'll look at how the public backlash surrounding the commercialization of the brand added even more pressure on Ryan's family, further tarnishing their reputation. But it wasn't just the drop in views that hurt Ryan's World. Criticism began to pour in from all sides, and the family found themselves caught in a whirlwind of controversy.
I want to rewind back because right now, billions of views, big team, like that's so much to take in. But to me, as a new dad and a full-time creator that runs like a lot of things with my wife, I have to ask you guys about the days that you guys decided to quit your job. How much as an engineer were you making at that time?
About 100K.
Was there a number that you're like, we want to make this much off of YouTube before we're comfortable making it our full-time profession? Or like, what did the finances look like of the YouTube channel at that point?
At the time, it was way beyond our salary. So
It was already there
yeah.
while you guys were balancing it with your jobs.
I
Correct.
mean, what
When
we
we
made
started-
in 1 month was way more than I could have made in a whole year.
As the brand continued to evolve, it wasn't just the shift in content or declining viewership that caused problems. It was the growing public backlash surrounding the way Ryan's World operated. In particular, the commercialization of the channel, as well as the ethics of child stars, started to stir up serious concerns among parents, critics, and the general public. One of the most significant points of contention was the nature of Ryan's brand partnerships. As the channel grew, so did the number of products and partnerships tied to it. From toys, to clothes, to branded apps, Ryan's face was now plastered on an ever-expanding list of items. While many saw this as a natural progression for a family-friendly brand, others raised concerns about the ethical implications of commercializing a child's life to such an extreme degree. Critics argued that the brand was exploiting Ryan's image, turning what should have been a childhood experience into a business venture. Parents in particular were concerned about the constant advertisements embedded within the videos, many of which featured Ryan promoting various products to his young audience. The line between entertainment and advertising had blurred, and some parents worried that their children were being manipulated into wanting things they didn't need. Adding to the controversy were the ethical concerns surrounding the way child stars like Ryan were treated. While Ryan was often depicted as the face of the brand, it was clear that his parents were the ones pulling the strings behind the scenes. This raised questions about how much control Ryan had over his own life and career. Was he truly enjoying the work, or was he simply a pawn in a much larger profit-driven enterprise? The backlash reached a boiling point when Ryan's World came under fire for pushing excessive commercialization in videos that felt more like advertisements than genuine content. For many viewers, it became clear that the family's primary focus was on monetizing the brand rather than delivering quality, engaging content. And this shift in priorities didn't go unnoticed. The criticism took a toll on Ryan's World's image. What had once been seen as a wholesome, fun channel was now viewed by some as a cash grab operation that had lost sight of its original charm. In the following section, we'll explore how these controversies, combined with the waning viewership, ultimately led to the end of Ryan's World's toy empire. The controversies didn't just affect the public perception of Ryan's World. They had real-world consequences, shaking the foundation of the brand and leading to the collapse of its lucrative toy partnerships. As Ryan's World faced growing criticism, the brand's most lucrative asset, the toy partnerships, began to crumble. What had once been a multi-million-dollar deal with toy companies like Walmart, Target, and Amazon eventually fell apart. The shift in content and public perception of Ryan's brand had damaged the integrity of these partnerships, and the once thriving toy empire began to unravel. The problems began when Ryan's World started to diversify its content, leading to a dilution of the toy brand that had originally captured the public's attention. What had once been a beloved series of toy reviews now seemed like a backdrop to an ever-expanding list of brand deals and product promotions. For many parents, this constant commercialization of Ryan's image was a turnoff, and with more kids and families becoming increasingly aware of the overt commercialism, toy companies started to rethink their partnerships with the brand. But it wasn't just the loss of viewership and the growing backlash that caused the downfall of Ryan's toy empire. It was also the failure to innovate within the toy industry. As the market became saturated with Ryan's branded products, the novelty wore off. What had once been an exciting new way for kids to engage with their favorite YouTube star had now become just another series of toys on the shelf. The magic that had propelled Ryan's World to the top of the charts was now fading fast, and the toy empire that had once seemed unstoppable started to crumble. Toy companies, no longer eager to be associated with the brand, began to pull back from their partnerships with Ryan's World. This caused a significant financial blow to the Ryan family, who had relied heavily on these partnerships to fuel the brand's expansion. The end of the toy empire marked the beginning of the end for Ryan's World as a dominant force in the children's entertainment space. As Ryan's World struggled to find its footing, the family looked for new avenues to continue the brand. But as we'll see, the end of the toy empire was just the beginning of the brand's downward spiral. Now that the initial hype surrounding Ryan's World had faded, the big question was, what's next for the brand? The family had long since abandoned their toy-centric roots, but the question remained whether they could find a new path that would maintain the brand's relevance in an increasingly competitive and fast-paced media landscape. Ryan's family made attempts to pivot into other forms of media, including TV shows, apps, and live performances, but none of these ventures were able to replicate the same level of success as the early days of Ryan's World. The brand's identity had been too heavily tied to the toy empire that had fueled its rise to fame, and without that foundation, Ryan's World struggled to find its place in an evolving market. Despite these efforts, Ryan's World seemed unable to capture the same magic it once had. The competition was fierce, and new brands were emerging every day, targeting the same audience with fresher, more relevant content. Ryan's World was left playing catch-up, trying to keep up with a changing audience and the ever-shifting dynamics of the digital world. While Ryan and his family continued to pursue new opportunities, it's clear that the era of Ryan's World as we knew it has come to an end. The brand may still exist in some form, but the magic that once made it a global phenomenon is no longer there. The story of Ryan's World is a cautionary tale of how even the biggest stars can fade when they lose touch with what made them special in the first place. If you thought this was a crazy downward spiral, you won't want to miss what happens in this next video.